Welcome back to NCSY Pulse, brought to you by NCSY Alumni. My name is John Ackerman, and I am here today with Arianna Schiff of Chicago, Illinois, or I should say the northern suburbs of Chicago, and now of the University of Pittsburgh. Arianna, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. I've seen so many videos pop up on Instagram, so it's exciting that it's my turn now.
Arianna, let's go back to, your humble beginnings before you were a superstar campus leader, which we will get to. Tell us how you got involved in JSU and NCSY in Chicago, and who got you involved.
Yeah, so growing up, Judaism was really important. Going to services with my family, Shabbat every week, all the holidays. Grew up going to summer camp, and then in high school, it was like, all right, so what now? Tried a couple different youth groups, and none of them really seemed like my people. I decided to go on TJJ, Bus 9, woo! And it was a transformational month, summer. I met incredible people, not just from the North Shore area, but all over the Midwest. The bus was run by Rabbi Jeremy. And we really clicked and connected. I still keep in contact with all my Madrufim from that summer. When I'm in New York, I reach out to them and I still grab a coffee with them. And yeah, it was incredible. And I only went with one friend, and by the end of the summer, obviously you make so many more connections. Rabbi Jeremy came up to me at the end of the summer and was like, hey, do you want to stay involved? Are you interested in being on board? Maybe VP of Jewish Education? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And so that kind of started off my involvement in NCSY outside of the summer program. And we didn't have a JSU at my high school, but I did like an Israel club, and Rabbi Jeremy helped me with a lot of programming with that club and organization. And then the following year, he asked me if I wanted to be president. So I said, of course. And then COVID. So we had some very fun activities during COVID, outdoor movies. It was really cool. We did a drive-through, like a drive-in event where you would pick up food, hand it to everyone's cars, and then we would tune in our radio, and he had this device. So we would do like a radio segment and people could call in and do games.
That's so cool.
It was like so COVID, but so cool, like a radio, and we tuned our cars.
Leave it to Jeremy to be just super creative and turn a terrible situation into an awesome opportunity, it sounds like.
Exactly. So yeah, then I headed to Israel for a gap year, came back, and I always regretted not getting involved in NCSY earlier. Took me to like my junior year, so the second half of high school. So I really wanted to stay connected, and that's what brought me to the Judah Fellowship for a few years. And yeah.
That's a great story. You're telling the story. You went on TJJ, which got you very involved. You spent an incredible summer. You moved up in the ranks of NCSY. Clearly, you are a growth-oriented individual. And as I've gotten to know you over the past couple of years, that I've seen that myself. Is there something that you would say that because specifically, I know that you were pretty traditional and you were always pretty connected to your Judaism. Was there anything in particular that you would say that because of whether it's your TJJ experience or your NCSY experience that you, from a Jewish perspective, that you gained from your time at NCSY?
Yeah, I think the Madrufim and staff, whether it was over the summer or on other Shabbatons that I went on, they wanted us to ask questions. And I think coming from like slightly different backgrounds from some of the Madrufim, it was really interesting to be comfortable asking those questions and tough questions and just hearing different perspectives. And I think that was really what made me question Judaism in a good way and be okay having different perspectives on questions, but being open to other people's practices. Yeah, the Madrufim were incredible.
So fast forward a couple of years and you go to Bar Ilan, you come back, you're at University of Pittsburgh. And of course, you begin your climb up the ladder of Jewish leadership in Pittsburgh at University of Pittsburgh. And I understand that now you hold a senior Jewish leadership position on campus, which at this point is, it is a time of great challenge and uncertainty for Jewish people on college campuses really all over the world. Tell us what you're doing, tell us how you got there, and how you're engaging these challenges heads on.
Yeah, so by the time it was my second semester on campus, or not even, like November of my first year, I decided to apply for the executive board for Hillel, and I kind of came full circle and was VP of Jewish Education again, in charge of Shabbat planning and holidays. So I got very involved very quickly. And then last year I started as president last January. So obviously it's really come with some struggles. I think the staff has been extremely helpful and supportive with everything. But being in this position, you're the connecting person between our Hillel staff and all the university staff, as well as all the students. So it's a lot of communication. You're the point person for I've met with the dean of students on regular occasions, people in charge of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I even hung out with a couple of policemen last week and got to know them, and they are checking in on our safety. So it's come with a lot, but it's really nice to be part of a strong Jewish community on campus. I'm really lucky that exists at Pitt, but again, you're the point person, and I think a lot of things that a president does is kind of behind the scenes, so people don't really realize that you're having all these meetings. All summer I was on meetings with the student government board because they had posted things that wasn't really open for everyone. Kind of pick sides, and you're the student government and you should be representing everyone. So it's challenging because you want to make sure that all the students that are part of your community know that what you're doing, but they're not in all of those calls with you 24/7. So they may think what is she doing? But in reality, it's constant communication between everyone to make sure that, we're in good standing with the university and that they want to support us in our community.
Now, we've heard lots of stories of students just like you having meetings with chancellors and school presidents and all over the country. And you hear mixed results of those meetings where some people take those meetings seriously. Some presidents, really do jump on the opportunity to help the students. And unfortunately, on many campuses, the school leadership has really not shown any initiative in engaging the Jewish students or moving past that first initial meeting where they say, oh, we're going to communicate. It's going to be great. We're going to help you guys out. And then there's nothing. How would you say that these meetings went? Are you happy with them? Do you feel like you've been heard, you've been seen, and that you have sort of a rapport, not just sort of having the meeting so that they can say, yes, check the box. We had a meeting.
Yeah, that's a really difficult question in terms of, unfortunately, it's not always the best answer that you can provide. The first time I had a dinner with a whole bunch of administration and other Jewish student leaders on campus last February. And basically since then, and the continued conversations is, we hear you, we support you, but there's not a lot that we can do. I mean, we're a public university, so their hands are kind of tied in terms of what other organizations do on campus. They can't really stop them. It was unfortunate over the summer. We had the main encampment that a lot of other universities saw in May, and then there was a second one that occurred in June on our campus that was a lot more weapons and a lot more vandalism. And so the administration that I've been talking to on a regular basis last semester, they didn't reach out to me once over the summer. So I emailed them and I said, hey, what's going on? These two huge things have happened and you guys haven't reached out once, just giving a short email saying checking in on your community. So I think that kind of brought them back into, oh yeah, we do need to talk to them.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the conversations is they're supporting us, which is good, but their hands are tied. They've talked about some initiatives that they want to do, bring in speakers and different political speakers and different geopolitical speakers for the general public of the university to come and see and hear talks and debates. and that was talked about last semester, and those still haven't occurred. So that's pretty frustrating, that they're saying that they're trying to do all these new initiatives and they're not really following through on them. So yeah, I do feel the support in terms of like they're on our side,
Right.
but not much that they're really showing for it.
Right. Very challenging. And for somebody like you to sort of step into that and become president during all this is really, that's got to be really challenging. I know that there was a tough situation on your campus a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Walk us through that experience.
Yeah, so that was pretty scary, considering that it was literally all over the news within 24 hours, even on the Times of Israel. I was like, what? How do they have that on us? Yeah, so there were a group of us on our way to our building, which is about a 10-minute walk down Main Street. We're part of a city, so there's like 2 main streets that run through campus. It's pouring rain to set the scene. And my friend and I are walking like a little bit behind a bunch of these guys that are part of our group, about a block or two in front of us. And all of a sudden, a random person in like his 50s wearing a keffiyeh. He was across the street at the park, ran over when he saw 2 of the boys in the group wearing kippot, hit the 2 of them who were wearing kippot with a glass bottle that he was holding. Yeah, luckily you're talking about like 5 college grown men that were able to self-defend and tackle him down right away, and the police responded right away. But it's a continued investigation, with some court hearings to come up. He was arrested right away, but our like university publicized that yes, it was an act of harm and violence, but they couldn't define that it was an hate crime, because that hadn't been officially released yet, even though he hit the 2 of the Jewish boys who were specifically wearing kippot so most outwardly. So we're literally walking to our building for Shabbat dinner. And it was actually our Israel-themed Shabbat, so to make it even more strange timing. So it's been a continued effort and deal. Luckily, the 2 boys were okay for the most part. Only one of them like had to get medical assistance, but obviously the scars inside and out are still there. And if you know Pittsburgh, we also have experienced the Tree of Life synagogue shooting. So our community has really experienced a lot in the past couple of years. So to think that there is still so much hatred out there after we experienced like one of the most deadly Jewish hate crimes in the United States, is frightening. So
that's terrible. How do you do it? How do you hold your head above water? How do you, you're the leader. It's for most people your age, their response is, well, let's look for the leader. Let's look towards the leader. Let's look for somebody to be in charge to tell us what to do. But that's you. How do you react in a situation like this? What do you do? What do you tell people?
I think communication is really important. Obviously, there were a lot of rumors going around the rest of that weekend on what had happened. Telling people the truth, but also communication in terms of my staff members and with community leaders, on campus, administration. I think communication is so important, and like that is the main role as president. But also on a personal level, all weekend just texting my friends that were at the scene and checking in on them, seeing if they need anything, saying I'm here for you, and being that person. But also I was constantly on my phone responding to messages. It was kind of exhausting, but taking that time here and there to talk to my family, and friends that aren't on campus, just to say like, I'm doing okay. We did have some mental health counselors in the building that following weekend, or like the following Sunday, to offer assistance for other students, which was really good. Yeah, communication and checking in on yourself and friends is really important, but it is hard.
It's critical. And, I've seen and I've experienced, challenging times, whether it's at work or in the community or other times. And, it's funny because we sometimes think, I'll give you an example. My wife is a doctor. And so, you grow up as a kid, and when your parents take you to the doctor, so often you just sort of feel like, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor and they're going to fix me. Right. Mm-hmm. And we kind of have this image in our minds that doctors know how to fix basically everything. Yeah. And you walk in and here's a pill, you walk in and we're going to take a scan and then you're going to do this and we're going to go in and, and things are so automatic. And, one of the things that I think have come to appreciate, having gone through my wife being a medical student and then a resident and now an attending, is they're people, shockingly, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't have all the answers and they're doing the best they can like everybody else. But as you said, communication is really, really critical, because the difference between somebody having an ailment that's really, really scary, mm-hmm. or having an ailment that, might be scary, but might not be as scary, is really, a lot of times it boils down to how does the doctor communicate with the patient. And that's true for Fortune 500 companies. That's true for Jewish organizations. That's true for Presidents of Hillel, is that mm-hmm. you don't always need to have the answers. You're not going to always have the answers.
No,
but
we're all going through it for the first time.
Yeah, we are all in this together. But the fact that you're reaching out to people, that you're establishing lines of communication, that they should feel that Arianna is on top of things. She's reaching out to me. Yeah, that's my president. That's really, really critical. And I applaud you for that. Seeing where you are, the position that you're in, is there something, or would you say that part of your NCSY experience was able to contribute to the fact that you're now a great Jewish leader? Was there anything that you picked up during your time with NCSY that you could identify to say, because of this experience, I'm now a better Jewish leader in my community and on my campus?
100%. I think planning for the unexpected, as we're all doing right now, that was, again, COVID time. So having those phone calls with Rabbi Jeremy and saying, how are we going to do this? What's our plan B? What if it rains for our outdoor movie? Those are really critical skills that now, in the position that I'm in now, we can't have an outdoor Israel Jewish festival on campus. So what's our backup? How are we going to replan? How are we going to restructure and still embrace our Judaism? Whether it's pandemic times or whether we're on a college campus right now and experiencing extreme anti-Semitism. I think those skills were extremely helpful that built me into the leader I am today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, for sure, creating drive-in programs is what led you to being the president of the Hillel. No, but the truth is, you're right. Having gone through trials, having gone through crisis in mm-hmm. your past, it's not always going to be the same crisis over and over again. Many times it's drawing from stability and creativity in times of crisis. Okay, so moving away a little bit from your pure leadership qualities, and we've established that you are an elite leader in your community. But is there anything that you've got in your bag of tricks that you would tell somebody who's coming to campus for the first time or who's looking for a college for the first time? Any, we call them Jewish campus hacks or tips mm-hmm. that you would give somebody to say, here's how I would deal with XYZ situation or something that would occur that I've learned that now I'm going to impart that wisdom onto you?
Yeah, I think housing can be a struggle, whether it's finding people that you want to live with or just finding the right place. And that was definitely something that I went through. I really wanted a kitchen after my freshman year, so that I could cook my own kosher meals. So I don't think that should be a sacrifice. I think it should be some type of compromise. So what I ended up doing was bringing my own dishes. I have my own dish pan, own soap, own sponge, everything's my own. I don't use the dishwasher, and have it completely my own little kitchen utensils. And so that didn't stop me from keeping kosher on campus or off campus. So I definitely recommend, if you're in any type of situation where I want to keep my practices, I don't know how, there's always a way.
What's your go-to?
I really like one pot meal. So whether it's like a big chili with like throwing all the vegetables in, or a stir fry and you got your protein and tofu and vegetables all in one. So it's not like 5 different little dishes. Those are really good meal prepping hacks for college. I'm a big meal prepper.
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you. We want to make a series of kosher cooking, like easy kosher recipes for campus life. So we'll have to have you do a live demonstration, like a video showing your cooking skills.
I'm down for sure.
All right. Arianna Schiff, not only is she the president, she's also the chef. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up here. Obviously, there's lots of people that you've experienced in your NCSY journey. Is there anybody in particular that you would like to say thank you to?
Well, he's come up a bunch of times in this session, but I really have to thank Rabbi Jeremy for seeing my leadership so early on and just bringing me in right away, helping me with countless letters of recommendation over the years, and pushing me to who I am today.
Jeremy's great, and I concur with everything you said. He's a good friend of mine. I joke about it on the show all the time, how that staff member is a good friend of mine, but the truth is that's part of the fun of working in NCSY, is that you get to hang out with your friends. And we actually just wrapped up. It is a community. You know, it's I did carpool this morning, and which obviously is totally related to what we're talking about. And somebody needed a ride for their kid, so they dropped off their kid at my house early, and then we swapped pickup times. And you'll learn about carpool, one day. But as she was leaving, she joked, it does take a village, to raise a kid, and the truth is that never changes. It does take a village to raise a child. It does take a community to raise, so to speak, an NCSYer, and I think that that's part of the magic of working in a place like NCSY, is that you have so many like-minded people who are mission-driven, who are elite relationship builders. And when you have all these relationship builders hanging out together, so they're going to obviously build relationships with each other. And I think that one of the things that I really pride myself on, and that we talk about all the time, is that we're all going to be friends. We're all friends now here working with NCSY, and we're all going to be friends, God willing, one day, when we're no longer working at NCSY. Not that I'm announcing anything. I'm just saying theoretically.
Yeah, and, exactly.
And Jeremy's one of those guys that I count as hopefully a lifelong friend. And I say thank you to him for introducing you to us, to me, to the Judah Fellowship.
You got so many North Shore people.
Yeah, we love the North Shore. Listen, I went to high school in Chicago, so there's a small part of me that my heart is still in Chicago, though. I do wonder about the fact that Chicagoans are so obsessed with Chicago. Like, people from Chicago,
I get that at school now.
Yeah, I experienced it when I was in Chicago myself, and now I continue to see it. And you can't change their minds. They love Chicago, which is great. I grew up in Minnesota, and I have fond memories of Minnesota outside of the months from like November to April when it's unlivable, but I don't think I'm as like so excited to be from Minnesota as Chicagoans are to be from Chicago. Anyway, not that anybody who's listening to this cares about that whole that whole monologue, but Arianna, it was really cool having you on the show. Thank you so much. You're so busy and you're doing so many wonderful things. Thanks for taking the time, and let's continue to stay in touch. And we look forward to hearing all of the great things that you're going to accomplish soon.
Thank you.
All right. This has been NCSY Pulse, brought to you by NCSY Alumni. You can follow us on Instagram and see all of the NCSY Pulse videos at NCSY Alumni. We'll talk to you soon.